Hey, welcome to video number 2 of our CPCU 556 video series. Today we are breaking down the most difficult part of the 556 exam. This is presented by AssociatePI. We are an independent organization, not affiliated with the CPCU or the institutes. My name is Jake. I've passed my 556 exam and I'm here to help you pass yours. As I mentioned, this is video number 2. You can see the other videos of the 4-part video series at AssociatePI.com/videos. Alright, so let's get right into it. The 556 is a very difficult exam. There's pass testing window, and again, remember that the pass rates update every testing window. But for this pass testing window, the pass rate of 556 was at 70%, which makes it the third most failed CPCU exam. It's definitely one of the hardest exams. I usually see the pass rate higher than 70%. I was surprised to see it at 70%. It's usually up around 72 or 73%. Still difficult, but this is one of the lowest pass rates I've seen, so it must have been a tough testing window for everybody. But just put in perspective that this is a tough exam, meaning out of everybody that's taken this exam, only 70% pass. So why is it so difficult? And the reason is because there's a ton of financial content on this exam. We went over this in the last video of the video series, breaking down the review of the exam. But there are over 80 different types of personal financial vehicles that you need to know for this exam. That's a lot. So that's things such as the 401k, the ESA, post-secondary education savings account, Series I bonds, Roth IRAs, medical insurance, health insurance, disability insurance. So all these different types of financial vehicles and investment vehicles that you have to know to pass this exam. The hardest part, each of those that I've just mentioned have a bunch of minor details and stipulations and their own specific tax treatment that differs from all the other financial vehicles. So each of the 80 that are in this exam, you have to know all those little minor details about each. It's very difficult. There's a ton of content and it's tough because most of us here, if you're watching this video, you probably work in the property casualty industry, most likely personal insurance. So we don't see all these different lines of business. We don't see health insurance that much. We don't see disability insurance that much. Long-term care insurance. We don't see any of that stuff, but it's on this exam, which makes it very difficult. So I kind of just touched on this, but 80 financial vehicles, that's the most difficult part of this exam. There's a ton to memorize. Highly recommend you focus on those vehicles. Pay attention to the minor differences between each type of vehicle. The exam will try to trick you on those minor details and tax treatment. It's a multiple choice exam. It's going to give you 4 answer options. 3 of them are going to try and trick you, and there's going to be one correct, one best answer, and that's the correct one. Again, just pounding this in so that you know what, there's 80 financial vehicles, memorize them all. You really got to know these. Not all of them are as important. You'll see like the 401k and Roth IRA and traditional IRA. Those are very important ones that keep coming up over and over again on your exam. Other ones aren't as important, like, they're all important, but you should memorize all of them. Just focus on all 80, but know that not all are as important. And we'll go over that in the next video. In video number 3, we'll touch on the most important topics. So here's our plan of action. Remember, out of everybody that takes this exam, only 70% pass. It's very tough, so follow this plan of action if you need some help. Biggest tips are, step 1, read each chapter individually. Step 2, as you go through, read and take notes on each financial product from the chapter. So as you're going through, take notes from each chapter on each product, each financial vehicle, and the minor details. So make note of the minor complexities and tax treatment of each financial vehicle as you're reading the chapter. Then, once you finish reading the chapter, and once you've read all the chapters, go back and compare each financial vehicle to one another. The exam will try to trick you. It'll try and switch up a couple health insurance programs to confuse you with the multiple choice answer options. So make sure you got them all memorized and know how to differentiate from the other available options. Lastly, go back after you've taken notes on every single chapter and you have notes on every single one of the 80 financial vehicles on this exam. Go back and study them all. You got to go read through them all again and make sure you have them all memorized. So biggest tip here, take notes on every single financial vehicle. Make yourself a big cheat sheet with all 80 of them on there, so you can go back and review that and study that, rather than flipping through the whole textbook again. So here's our 3 biggest tips to passing. First, read the course. We just talked about this. Read every chapter. You can't pass if you don't fully read the course. There's a ton of content on this exam, a lot that you've probably never seen before, so make sure you read. Next, tip number 2, make a study guide. So I kind of just talked about this. As you are reading, take notes of those minor details, all financial vehicles in the tax treatment, so that by the end of it, you have this big study guide with all 80 financial vehicles on it, so you can just read your study guide, use that to study, rather than flipping through the 300 pages of textbook to go and find your something that you're struggling with. You can just refer back to your study guide, makes it much easier. And lastly, practice as much as possible. I highly recommend you take at least 300 practice questions before taking this exam. The questions are tough. They're going to try and trick you. So please make sure you practice before you take the exam, and practice with real exam questions. And if you need practice, I highly recommend you go over to AssociatePI.com/practice exam. Download our free CPCU 556 practice exam. We format our questions to be as realistic as possible to give you a real exam experience. So go download that. We'll also send you our free study guide, and probably most importantly, our taxation guide, which is essentially a study guide for the tax concepts of the 556. We'll tell you exactly what tax concepts you have to know for each financial vehicle on the 556. So go download that over at AssociatePI.com/practice exam. And if you want to read more about the exam, go over to AssociatePI.com/CPCU 556 for these other blog posts. And that's it for video number 2 of the CPCU 556 video series. In our next video, we're going to go over some of the most important topics of the exam in the exam format. You can see all videos at AssociatePI.com/videos. And that's it. We will see you on the next video.